You know, 2015 was a pretty good year. I graduated from high school, started college, some of my favorite rock bands released new albums, some of my favorite movie franchises put out new iterations, and I got to play some absolutely awesome games this year. It was the year of the sequel. Even though most of the games I played this year were already established intellectual properties, I dare say this may be the single strongest year for the industry since the famed 1998. There may not have been as many products released this year that will shape development for games like 1998 did, but that's not to say some of these titles weren't downright unforgettable. Keep in mind, I did not play every notable game for this year for three main reasons. 1, it may not have appealed to me. 2, I just don't own a PS4. Or 3, I just didn't have the time or money to invest into it. However, I am still content with the lineup of games that I did get to play this year, and I can't wait to see what 2016 will offer after such a strong 365 days. Axiom Verge is not Metroid. It may look and kind of sound like it, but it's not trying to be a duplicate of any kind. Instead, I see Axiom Verge as an ode to one of Nintendo's most underutilized franchise. Federation Force! Is it successful? Absolutely. Don't get me wrong though, Axiom Verge still has its own fair share of problems, but the sum of its parts is one of the best retro throwbacks I've ever played. Alongside its great level design and memorable enemy encounters, I was easily drawn to experience all 99% that I did. Yeah, still kinda mad at myself for that. Hearing the words, a competitive shooter from Nintendo may still seem weird, but the final product was nothing short of successful. I was intrigued by this game from its initial direct announcement, and the game did not let me down. Testing out different mechanisms to cover the ground in ink never ceased to lose its appeal, and the multiplayer gameplay is simply pristine. On top of all that, Nintendo has consistently updated it with new maps and weapons to play for free. Add that with a rather underrated single-player campaign filled with ingenious boss fights and unique platforming design, and you've got a new intellectual property that every Wii U owner ought to own. Halo 5 could have been so much better than it was. The mission design could have been more varied, the story could have had more instances of Master Chief, you know, the main character, and there could have been more modes added to the multiplayer. However, what's good in Halo 5 Guardians is really good. Mechanics-wise, this is the best playing FPS I've ever encountered on a console, and the character movement is so refined that it may make going back to previous games difficult. Not to mention that Warzone is a fantastic new addition to the Halo formula, and playing co-op within the campaign is still engaging with friends. After somewhat diminishing Halo 4, Halo 5 Guardians is definitely a step in the right direction for 343. Even though it still has a handful of problems that will keep it from reaching excellent status, I can't wait to see what Halo 6 will bring now. I wish Super Mario Maker was released about 12 years ago, because then I would have been able to input so much more time into it than I was able to in 2015. You probably don't need me to tell you how awesome this creation tool truly is, and how it's been literally a childhood dream come true for many individuals. My only wish is that there was some sort of full-fledged Nintendo project within, but that doesn't stop this product from literally being endless Mario. This is a game I know I'll be coming back to throughout the years, if only to see what possible tribulations await me in the daily 100 Mario challenge. Fallout 4 came out of E3 as my personal most anticipated game of the year, and while it didn't quite reach that personal hype I set up for myself, I was still massively entertained while roaming the destroyed landscape of the Commonwealth. It took me about a total of 28 hours before I even reached Diamond City, because I was too busy doing side quests and just roaming this wasteland. Add that with a plethora of new weapon customization, an interesting story, and a terrific use of factions, it all composed to form an objectively solid game. A lack of evolution of the Bethesda template may be dismissive for some, but I was personally still eager to experience another adventure in retro future America. Can a game still be considered an MMO if it isn't focused on being massively multiplayer or online? There are Monster Hunter-esque elements of cooperative play here for sure, but the crux of the experience is strictly single player through the scripted attributes Monolith Soft has provided. The gameplay here looks right out of the post-World of Warcraft MMO craze, from the way quests are gated to the combat system, but they all come together in a way that is as impactful as a game like World of Warcraft can be, without the necessity of always being connected online. When you throw in breathtaking visuals on the Wii U, I know, hard to believe, and a massive sense of scale, it easily becomes a standout title of 2015 amongst many other open-world constructions. It's a game that strips out a lot of the decisive anime in JRPGs that's refreshing, even if it comes at the cost of isolating the first game's die-hard fanbase. And you know what? I may like this game more than the first one. Not entirely sure, but I may. I'm not even sure when I'll be done with it, but it's certainly been quite a trek as of the 30 hours I've already put into it thus far. I died no less than 558 times in Ori and the Blind Forest, and it was still one of my most pleasant gaming experiences in 2015. Metroidvanias may not be as special to the market as they once were, but this game is a reason why the genre should always be welcomed with open arms. With such a visually appealing art style coincide with perfected mechanics and challenging hardcore combat, Ori and the Blind Forest is probably my favorite side-scroller in years. When this game came out initially, I thought it had a legitimate shot of topping this list come the end of the year. Now, obviously it didn't quite accomplish that feat, but I just want to reiterate how much this game blew me completely away upon first finishing it. Top all that with one of the best musical scores of the year, and if you're a PC or Xbox One owner, you owe it to yourself to purchase this excellent product. Yeah, sorry PS4 owners.
I'd like to speak to a lawyer now. You have no murder weapon. You have nothing. And all these stories we've been telling each other, just that. Stories.
If you take only one thing away from this list, let it be this. Experience what her story has to offer. It's extremely cheap, only $4 at the time of recording this, short, and absolutely unforgettable. Show it to your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your best friends, I don't care. Just spread the word to as many individuals as possible, regardless if they care about the gaming community at all. No one's ever told a narrative the way her story does. Unless a rather strange sequel is made, no one probably ever will again. At its core, the game is searching through a police database of video clips. These videos contain a woman's various interviews behind the mystery of her husband's disappearance, and your goal is to connect the pieces to figure out the truth. Throughout the narrative, you'll come across earth-shattering twists that will shock any newcomer. There's no set length, and the game is only over when you're personally satisfied. But I can't stress enough how much of an intriguing experience this resonated with me. Play her story with headphones, the lights off, and 2 hours of free time on your hands. And that's coming from somebody who rarely plays games like that. It's about as cheap as renting a movie, and it'll keep you thinking about it days after completion. Play her story, because you won't regret it, I guarantee it. CD Projekt Red gave us something that every other gaming corporation refuses to do upon reaching a pinnacle of success: an ending. Wild Hunt rightfully feels like the conclusion to a trilogy, a solemn goodbye to the aging protagonist that is Geralt. The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings was a pulse-pounding thrill of high fantasy action, when The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is a subtle tale based around character development. We finally get to see individuals mentioned only in the past, like the love interest, Yennefer, and the narrative is situated around locking up all personal characteristic ties. Despite all that, Wild Hunt is still masterfully able to adhere to new audiences as well, and I think most people who played 3 never even touched the originals. This game had some of my all-time favorite quests I have ever played in RPG before, and the overall story, and especially the writing, is just incredible. On top of all that, the combat system is very strategic, and the game's choice system is one of the most pristine I've ever encountered. To put it simply, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is an instant classic that definitely deserves your attention, and you'd only be hurting yourself by not playing it. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D is kind of my game of the year, but I didn't actually play it. I never even touched it, and it technically wasn't released in 2015, so I don't think recommending it as my game of the year for 2015 would make much sense at all. But I'm going to recommend it to you anyway. Majora's Mask is my favorite game of all time, and no other piece of entertainment has ever resonated with me like playing it did. It's a game that I can honestly say changed my life, and even though the full extent of it can be very decisive, I highly urge you to give it a shot. A majority of the gameplay features have been lifted right from Ocarina of Time, but it's the personal connections between the characters of Termina that make this game so special. Majora's Mask is one of the most mature games I've ever experienced because of its themes surrounding death, not a depiction. Termina is facade for the emblematic allegory of the end of a life. In turn, the constant 3-day cycle isn't just a situated mechanic, but a meaningful symbol. I could go on and on why this game is so extraordinary, but I really just want you to experience it for yourself. I know this game has its own respective problems. I mean, that save system sucks. I mean, maybe this port changed that, but that sucked in the original version. I still want to reiterate that it's still a title worth playing. This 3DS update is objectively the best version yet, so I highly recommend you pick it up. Or you can play it legit. But I can't name it my game of the year for something released 15 years ago. So let me tell you my real number one. Because, oh man, this was definitely the closest title to ever reach the magic Majora's Mask got for me. Guys, this is as good as it gets. Metal Gear is probably my personal favorite video game franchise, just above Zelda, GTA, and Smash Bros. But I can say without a doubt that the Phantom Pain trumps all that came before it. Other longtime fans may be let down by significant downsides of story, but it's the gameplay here that's truly revolutionary. Stealth and other action games have permanently been altered, thanks in part to the masterclass strategic gameplay and refined open-world accessibility. In turn, the Phantom Pain is truly ahead of its time because of how well it crafted its perfected action formula. I dropped an astonishing 93 hours during the course of September and half of October alone on this game, completing every mission, every side-up, and finishing everything with a long sought-after S rank. No game has ever influenced me to drop that much time into it within such a brief period of time. I'm not convinced one ever will anytime soon. People will be talking about the Phantom Pain's open-world progressive structure 10 years down the line, and you owe it to yourself to give this masterpiece a shot. From the already iconically sinister hospital opening sequence to the decisive mind-melting finale, you'll never want to put it down. Metal Gear Solid 5, or is it V? The Phantom Pain is my game of the year for 2015. What's yours? How's it going, guys? First of all, I just want to say Happy New Year ahead of time. You know, this is the end of 2015, and I figured why not end it with my top 10 games from 2015. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly have fun doing this whole year. This is the first time I had a YouTube channel, you know, an active YouTube channel. You know, I've had my, if you look at the description of my channel, I think it says, you know, started in like 2011. But, you know, I just had a YouTube account that I've used since then. But this is my first time having an active channel where I'm putting out regular videos. And I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too. You know, can't stress that enough. But another thing, I want to know people's opinion on this microphone that I had. You know, if you look at my past recordings, just see, because this was an actual professional microphone, as opposed to this absolutely crappy headset that I was using beforehand. So, but that actually got pretty good audio out of it. So that's why I actually decided to use the YouTube channel, because that got better audio out of its microphone than I expected. But hopefully that this one is even better than that. And I'm curious what your reaction was, because I wasn't exactly blown away when I first opened this thing. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you guys had a great year like I did too. And here's to 2016.